Aloha all, and thanks for joining. This is the final class of the Gene Keys portals, and unfortunately the Wi-Fi isn't working here, so I am recording this for you all. And it really speaks to actually this key, right? And the shadow of reaction. And I feel like today, the fact that I can't get on Zoom to share this with you live, I got to witness the reactions coming up within myself around the internet not working. I'm being frustrated. I'm being irritated by it. And to be able to witness that. So I feel like it's all kind of imperfect divine timing that I get to witness my reactions when things don't go the way that I want, when what I need to work is simply not coming together, and what arises within me when things don't go as planned. So it's kind of a grand teaching of this gene key and really all of the shadows and how we react to life and life circumstances. And so it gives me the ability to go within and see the parts of myself that feel frustrated, that feel irritated, that don't, that want it to be different, than what it is. And can I come into acceptance? Can I come into the, what this key is the revolution. And it really is an inner revolution that we're being asked to dig into. It's part of the rebirth, is doing the internal work to weed out all of the places that we react to life and that we feel out of control, and to even allow things to be out of our control, allow the uncertainty in. Life is not certain. We can make plans. We can try to create things. We can expect people to show up in certain ways. And then we need to let go to what actually is and allow the present to unfold exactly as it should be. So I feel like there's always deep lessons and attuning deeper to what life wants of us, especially when it doesn't go the way that we think it should. So let's just breathe into an attunement for a moment. Attune to this field of the 49th gene key, which is known as the inner revolution. And just noticing what quality is within your energetic body right now. Noticing the quality of the flow of energy through your meridians. Noticing where something may be stuck or stagnant, and conversely, where it may be open and flowing. I can feel a stuckness in my belly, contraction. Feeling a little bit of sadness and grief in my heart that I can't be with you all live. Feeling little bits of sense of something, like failure. So just breathing into that. Breathing into what is alive for you. Just noticing what is alive for you. Tuning into the inner world rather than being distracted so often by those outer senses. And trying to make the outer world fit into what you want it to be. Feeling into what it is when our needs are not met by the outside world, by outside people and circumstances. And just allowing it to be. Allowing love and compassion for the parts of yourself that might be irritated and frustrated. And also noticing the parts of yourself that are kind of giddy and joyful and playful with this almost like trickster energy, this archetype of setting these tripwires for yourself so that you can really move into a deeper knowing of thyself. And feeling into your needs. What happens? What is your reaction when those needs aren't met? And just noticing the things that maybe you have energetic addictions to. Whether it be your coffee in the morning, or putting on makeup, or meditating at a certain time. And if those things, if you don't get them, if they don't happen, how does that affect your entire day? How does that affect your energy? And do you carry it with you? Or are you able to release and move with the currents and the flow of life? Are you able to let go and surrender when things don't go your way? And are you able to bring awareness to what arises in you in those moments? To breathe into those moments and see what's happening energetically within you when you're not met in the way that you want life to meet you. And observing it from a place of neutrality and not judgment. Allowing the witnessing awareness to maybe take you down a pathway that shows you where you are getting stuck. And as you lovingly embrace those places, allowing a kind of rebirth to happen from the light of that awareness. A deep gratitude for becoming aware of these places and parts of you that want to have absolute control and certainty, and letting go into the uncertainty of life. The great adventure that when anything happens, it is an immense gift for you to know yourself on a deeper and deeper level, letting go of what you think should be and trusting with deep faith in what is. So breathing and letting that expansiveness occur. Letting it be okay that things aren't going the way that you expected them to. And this 49th gene key, this changing the world from the inside, that name in and of itself is so profound. We don't change the world from what we do on the outside, though that will have an effect. But the depth of the change happens within. That is the rebirth. Knowing that everything is divinely orchestrated by your soul, regardless of how your mind judges what's happening on the outside. And so this shadow of reaction, we can see how it plays out on the world stage. We react. We get defensive. We think we need to fight and defend that which we believe to be true. And what if it's not? What if what we need something to be is not serving our own evolution? So the dilemma of this key is needs. Is the need for something to be one way, and that's not what is for our highest remembering. So holding a little bit of forgiveness in our hearts, the partner of this gene key, just allowing some forgiveness within ourself to arise, and tapping into that part of us that actually knows everything is perfect the way it is, without the need for anything to change. Feels a little bit softer. Can we soften in? Can we really soften and trust life? And can we begin to meet those needs from within? And what's at the root of those needs? Do we need love? Do we need to be seen? Do we need to be validated? Really exploring what we need on the outside. Again, where we're putting our outer authority. Where we're putting or giving our power away when we feel like our needs aren't met. So I made a lot of notes with this key because I feel like it's still opening up tremendously. You know, a lot of these keys, they don't, or they continue rather, to expand as we let them settle. And everything that I have said in this course, which has been a contemplation within me, doesn't mean it's necessarily true for you. It's why it's so important to explore them and not give your power to somebody who has, you know, who is teaching you something, or not to look for that outer guru to tell you what's true for you. It's when it opens up inside and it truly like lands in a part of your being that knows its connection with God. Because when that opens up inside you, it's wisdom that you'll hold within you forever. You've unlocked it, so to speak. And regardless of what I say, it may or may not be true for you. It may or may not resonate for you. We're all on different pathways. And so how our own internal pathway unfolds will be unique for each one of us. And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of the gene keys. Sometimes somebody will say something that is the exact right statement at the exact right moment, and it penetrates you to the core, and it opens you up in a way that you feel the truth of the vibration that they're speaking. So that does happen, and that's such a gift when it does. Or you see a sign on a license plate or hear a lyric in a song when it just hits you in a new way. And it's really deciphering, you know, those moments, from the moments of you just kind of taking it and listening and learning and regurgitating somebody else's truth. So I really want to make that point that you are your own inner guru. You know, all of the masters really point us towards pulling out our desired nature, pulling out the need to have an outside source to find our own inner truth. In Buddhism, they state, and paraphrasing, it's like, if you see the Buddha on the road, then kill it. And it's because you are giving a part of your source, your knowing, to something outside of you, and you're abdicating your own Buddhahood, your own Godhood, your own Christ consciousness to another. But when it awakens inside you organically, that is wisdom. That is not intellectual knowing. It's wisdom deep inside that lands. So to go back to the shadow of reaction, and I made a lot of notes on this one because it's still continuing to unfold within me. And so as I have these little epiphanies, I make some notes, and I wanted to really make sure that I conveyed as much of this gene key for you to really marinate, to really chew on, to really see what's true for you. This particular key is paired with the 55th gene key in the codon ring known as the Ring of the Whirlwind. And this gene key, 55, is really 55 and 22, if you don't know, are kind of like the heaven and the earth of the gene keys. You know, the 55 is really about this evolutionary process of becoming a new kind of human, of being rebirthed into higher and higher versions of what it is to be human, moving from a human to like a God man, which actually human, that's where it comes from. Human is God man. And so moving towards that in the Ring of the Whirlwind, and because it's part of gene key 55, it has so much to do with victimization. And all of these shadows, including the shadow of reaction, really has its core in this victimization. And every time that we are giving up that power and reacting to something outside of us, we are really becoming a victim of circumstance. And this key is asking us to go beyond that, to find our freedom. Our freedom is within. But as long as we're shaming or we're blaming something out there for our inner emotional state, we are a victim of it. And there's a lot, I feel like, in the field right now around these frequencies of victim and perpetrator. And as I was moving into those frequencies of victim and perpetrator, I was being shown how I have both experienced and been on both sides of those. So feeling what it is to be a victim of what somebody else has perpetrated, and then feeling what it is to be the perpetrator upon another. And, you know, this feeling of victimizing, and how both parts are actually playing a pivotal role in our awakening. You know, and holding both sides of that coin and understanding or understanding both sides of that in order to come into balance, in order to come into equanimity and equilibrium within. You know, and this is part of the rebirthing process. It's part of the revolution. I want to go back for a moment into the dilemma of needs, you know, and just really examining your deep physical needs that are arising from your desire nature, and seeing where they are running your life, seeing where they are causing you, we talked about this too, to loop in the same lessons again and again. And seeing what's actually underneath those desires. For me, again and again, when it comes to desires, when it comes to my reaction to my desires and how I choose to navigate them and how I choose to go to the root of them, again and again, what I see is what I'm always seeking is union with my higher self, with my God self, with the divine. That is inherently the root of all my desires. Because when I experience that union, that unity with oneness and divinity, it fills every single need and every single desire. And there's nothing outside that I ever need to look for. And that is known. That is the gnosis then. I know that to be true inside of me. And so what that has done is help me really weed out all of the desires and watch them when they come up and watch what they're teaching me when they arise. I see the desire for what it is. And the desire is forgetting that I am in union with my God source. And when I remember to come back into that union, the desires of the outer world, they dissolve. And that's really profound to actually feel that land inside of you, to know it. And the more that I can abide in that space, the stronger that knowing grows, and the less and less I am a victim of my desires. You see, being the victim of our desire is really trying to fill something that desire never quite fills. What I've recognized about desire and my reaction to it is that as soon as one desire from the outer world is filled, another arises in its place. It never satiates. It keeps hungering for more because the actual desire underneath it is never satiated because it's my union with myself. And so that can only be satiated by remembering who I am and coming back into union with that. Otherwise, I am the constant victim of my looping desires, and some of the biggest ones are for sex, for external love, and for food, right? Those are the big ones, and I think about the sexual need a lot. I witness it in most people, this need for this physical union and this kind of orgasmic state that is so fleeting. It's just so fleeting. We have these unions. We have this sexual union, and we have this orgasm that for a moment satiates our desire. But it's a hungry desire. So it's voracious. It never quite feels full. And yet I can say from my own union with my God self, with the divine, when I am filled up with that union, every single particle of my being is in ecstasy. It is not centered in my lower chakras. Rather, that kind of union, it rises through all the chakras. It is essentially, annihilation of the self and a reunion with all that is. And every single cell is in that orgasmic divine union. And it's recognized there that all of the human desires that never quite fulfill because they pale in comparison to divine union. And so I'm sharing all this because we keep ourselves in this hungry ghost state, continually consuming and desiring that which is outside of us, and we will never feel full. We will never feel satiated. And we become a victim of continually being in this biofeedback loop of seeking. We're constantly seeking. But this particular key is asking us to pull out our desire nature. When our desires aren't met, and you can see this on the world stage, when desires aren't met, they can cause very violent reactions. When one group believes in a particular God and they think if others don't have or share the same belief system, then they're going to hell. And they will kill to defend that viewpoint. They will react with violence. You know, this key has a lot to do with the violence and the war that we see perpetuated on this planet. And so changing the world from the inside will bring us to our freedom, and it will actually bring us peace. And this is part of the rebirthing process. I'm looking at some of my notes now because I want to share with you some of the things that came forward. So you don't have a chance of finding freedom until all of your desires have been weeded out. All our expectations will eventually lead us to disappointment because they're not the truth of what we're seeking. You know, Z, I think last week, mentioned that this isn't personal. None of this is personal. This is part of the collective field of consciousness that wants to evolve. This is about a new awareness that is coming online, a new awareness that is illuminating to us these needs so we can pull them out, so we can bring our awareness to them. And when we see the root of them, we can pull it out. And it's not that those desires won't arise again. Desires will always arise, but awareness will see them for what they are, illusory. And therefore, you will no longer be controlled by your desired nature. You will no longer be reactive to your outer circumstances. You will have taken back your power. You will have taken back your freedom. You will have taken back your sovereignty and your liberation, because you will not be at the whim of what is happening in the outer world. You will be able to hold a state of equilibrium, of equanimity, of neutrality within you. And as we are talking about this, the gift of the revolution, I want to impart just how powerful you are. There is a construct in this world that so many of us have played into about what is happening and how we do not have the power, we do not have the tools to change what's happening, right? Whether it be war, whether it be the desecration of the planet, of pollution, the violence, the sexual distortion, like whatever it is, we see so much of what is corrupted on the planet playing out. And there's this sense of almost like being frozen, of not knowing what to do or feeling powerless to change it. And as we change from the inside out, as we rebirth from the inside out, this inner revolution is reminding us, we are remembering the immensity of who and what we are as energetic beings, so far beyond just this physical vessel. Yet this physical vessel is a magnificent technology when we know how to turn it on, when we know what it's actually capable of in terms of changing our environment, in terms of creating new realities. And this is the beauty of the inner revolution. When we are not siphoning our energy into trying to meet the desires that have been sold to us by our culture and our society, we free up so much energy. And I want you to really play with that. There is so much energy you are siphoning out to find the one, to create the life, to create the white picket fence and the perfect life that you have been sold to want. And this is a different lifetime. This is a lifetime of massive revolution and rebirth. All of the constructs that you have been told by your society that are looking like a successful life, it's crumbling. It's gone. Like, those constructs in my reality do not exist anymore, because I know through my gnosis, through my seeing, that we are here for a massive revolution and rebirth of humanity and of all consciousness. We are in service to something much bigger than the separate self and the small construct that has been so deeply embedded in us of the perfect little life. So I'm saying all this because there is a breaking apart. There is a massive splitting happening in consciousness right now. There is a genetic mutation that is so deeply cracking us open. And there is two timelines that I see. There is the timeline of all of those who sense it, who see it, who taste it, but cannot let go. Cannot let go of the old life, of the old construct, of the old illusion. It just is too shattering. And then there's those who have completely and are in the process of completely letting go of the life that you've always known, the rebirth. You are literally allowing so much of the belief systems that have been deeply indoctrinated for thousands of years to die. You are letting yourself burn. You are letting yourself be purified because you have a sense of rising from the ashes to create the new. You're discovering the immensity of the power of your energy field. That when you are fully filled up with your knowing and your gnosis and your ability to shift reality, that nothing is impossible. You sense the power of your consciousness to change the structure of physical form. So when there is a war going on, when you see child sex trafficking going on, there is no longer this little part of you that thinks that it's powerless, because there's a recognition of how much power you hold to change it. And there is a trajectory of beings that are discovering this liberating force that is able to come into a collective energy field and sweep everything clean. We are cleaning up what has been defiled, what has been distorted. We are cleaning it up with our energy from the inside out. As our DNA is mutating, it's like a detonation going off within you, like a big bang, an explosion of an entirely new perspective from which to view reality. And I want to speak to you for a moment on perspective. You have the ability to respond to everything from your perspective. Your responsibility, your ability to respond to everything that comes into your field. It is your perspective that you choose that will dictate your experience of that circumstance. You have unbelievable power in here to see from the higher perspective so that your experience of that circumstance is serving the rebirth of consciousness. So for instance, I see when people talk about the cabal and the controllers and the ones that are instilling fear and have instilled fear in humanity, that control the media, that control the government. I mean, you've all heard this before. And when I am in the expansive state of my highest perspective, I see how each one of those things is serving to awaken me. Everything that has created fear within me has woken me up to see through it. It has served its purpose in order for me to see who and what I am as a being of unlimited potential. I get to see through the fear. I get to reclaim my authority. I get to say through my voice, which is a massive threshold to reclamation, I do not consent to that program any longer. It feeds off your fear. It feeds off your doubt. It feeds off all of the ways that you are desiring to find the certainty and to find the stability and to find a way to control your reality. When you let go, when you soften, when you open, when you become malleable to this reality, you get to shape it. So the power that you hold is immense to facilitate change. And the more of us that are stepping into it, we recognize the divine mind. The divine mind can reconstruct reality from the inside out. Your energy field, when your heart is open, it's infinite. And your ability to open your heart and lovingly see this whole construct as serving the evolution of humanity, as serving the involution of spirit coming into form, we are remembering we're God. We are a particle of God source energy. We are a particle of Christ consciousness, and therefore, we have the same ability to construct our reality as that which birthed the cosmos, Mama Earth. Mother Earth is going through this rebirth. It takes heat, intense heat, to mutate DNA. And so, we're under intense pressure. You know, it's not just an analogy that heat creates the diamond from the coal. We are that. We are under so much heat and so much pressure and so much photonic light that is coming onto the planet that is pressurizing us, and it's causing all of the density to come to the surface. And that pressure is turning our carbon-based being into crystal, crystalline, light, diamond, purity, source. This mutation is, it's massive, it's infinite, and it can be resisted, but to resist it is very painful. It causes us suffering. And just like in all evolution, not all DNA is ready for the mutation. So there is a sorting happening of the fertile DNA and the infertile, that which is ready to mutate and that which is not. And when the light of particularly the sun and the central sun, that plasma light comes onto the planet to shift our DNA. For some, it will open you up, and for some it will cause disease. There will be those who cannot incorporate the light, who cannot hold it. Their DNA has not shifted enough to be able to hold that light. Just think of, it's like to be under a pressure cooker. You either have to open up and let go and expand, but if it's like contracted too tight, it's like it implodes, it explodes. So all of this to say, in this rebirth, there will be many beings leaving. Their souls will be in another place, another space to evolve and awaken in another time. None of this is personal. As humans, we so identify with our person and our personality, and of course, those we love. This is part of our human experience. And yet, from the higher perspective, it is about the evolution of all consciousness, the evolution of Gaia, the evolution of the galaxy, the cosmos. All of life is evolving. That which cannot evolve will be absorbed back into the light in order to have an experience at another time. Nothing is ever lost, but we have to become comfortable with this rebirth process and with this death process. Everything is recycled. Nothing actually ever dies. I know everybody on this call probably knows that. And so, yeah, I hope that this has helped a little bit with what is happening with this rebirth process. And I'm very much in this process of rebirth. You know, it's a massive, massive undertaking. And so we all also have to be so gentle with ourselves as we move through this with as much grace and ease as possible. And it can feel super, super intense at times. You know, I'll just share this meditation that I had a few days ago, where I could see all the beings, you know, that are embodied in a human form at this time. And I could see their soul signatures. It was like all these beautiful templates of light, you know, like they say, like these individual snowflakes or water molecules, each one having its own beautiful crystalline form. And I could see my own soul signature, my own soul's template. And it was so vast and it was so grand and so beautiful, just like every other one. And there was a moment where I was able to like touch into the place of actually opening and allowing that to descend within me. And I noticed that as I was allowing this template of the light of my soul to descend in me, it was like, it was pushing and stretching and just annihilating my personality or my sense of self. So it was very much like a death, but it wasn't painful. It actually, it felt ecstatic. It felt orgasmic. It felt so good to release the personality construct and let that soul signature, that soul template come in and like take all of this, in a way, this reality away, to see from the higher state, to see from that higher perspective, you know. And I've had moments, last year especially, where I literally felt like I was pregnant. So, that's something also that you might go through, this literally rebirth where you're feeling like you're pregnant, because in a way, we are the seeds, and the eggs of Gaia's womb. Like, we are also there. There's an aspect of us that is being inseminated within Gaia's womb, and we are actually growing. We're multiplying and dividing cells. We're attuning to the heartbeat of being in Gaia's womb. Like, all of this is so multidimensional. We're in so many places at once, and it's so mind-boggling. And it's not something that you can even wrap your mind around. It's almost like you have to let go of, I should say, the brain entirely and trying to figure it out. And like, it's almost like if you expand your heart, you can almost like hold, you can hold a heart understanding of it, if that makes sense. It's like your heart can understand that which the brain can't. It's like the heart actually attunes to the divine mind, which is not the brain, it's the divine mind of the universe. And so, dropping your energy into your heart and feeling that expansiveness, where you can feel aspects of you in many different places at once. And so, yes, we are pregnant with this rebirth that is rebirthing through us, and simultaneously we are in the womb of Gaia, also going through this rebirth. This key is highly, obviously, like esoteric and not so easy to convey in words. So I'm going to let it continue to marinate and just watch where I am still feeling the needs and the desires of the outer world less and less these days. I don't need anything to be, or anyone to be, other than who they are. They're teaching me just as they are. I don't need them to change. I don't need my circumstances to change. It's like happening in real time now. When I feel reactive to something, it's seen. I see it, I integrate it. I'm like, okay, what is it, that another piece of the puzzle that I'm putting back into place here? So you start to just invite that in. You start to invite in things going not quite the way you want. There's almost like an excitement around, oh, okay, here comes another initiation. I'm opening, I'm expanding through this initiation. And it just continues and continues to unfold. So I feel like I'm going to leave it there for now. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to share with you. I think that's good. I do want to share the point. So it's so interesting. So there's another acupuncturist who's mapping the gene keys to the acupuncture points. And for me, this one, she has a different idea of what point that this particular key relates to. And I'm going to share both what she thinks and what has intuitively I've felt. So she feels like it's this one here, like on the lung channel, right here in the belly of that part of your hand. Yeah. Which is on the lung, which is known as fish crook. It has like almost this symbolism of like the fire fish, or the Pisces symbol, or the Vesica Pisces, which that makes sense to me, the Vesica Pisces, right? the two circles that interlock. Well, actually, it's what's tattooed on where's my finger? I can't see it in the camera. There. Vesica Pisces. Masculine, feminine, the two becoming one in the center of creation. So that makes sense. So feel into this point and see how that feels for you for revolution and rebirth. I tend to go with the point, kidney one, sorry about my foot, right on the bottom of the foot in this like little hole right there. You can feel it. It's going to feel achy. That is the most yin point on the kidney channel. It's the wood point on the kidney channel. And for me, this symbolizes rebirth, because as we are in human form, this is the point that touches the earth. This is the point that touches the earth's skin and is able to take in the encodements of the womb waters of Gaia to rebirth. It is a rebirthing point, which is why for me it makes sense that that is the point. It's like when you put your feet on the skin of the earth and you can feel the pulsing of Gaia's heartbeat, of Gaia's womb beat through the bottom of your feet. You can feel it beating in your own womb and your own heart, and you can attune to it. And for me, that symbolizes rebirth in physical form and the process that we're going through in physical form. And it also connects to the point on the top of the head, which is Bai Hui, point of 100,000 meetings. So it's like, this is the plug into the cosmic womb. That is the plug into the earthly womb. And from there, we can open the central channel and actually connect to both above and below. You know, I feel like one of the big things to integrate in this key and in this time is as above, so below, as within, so without. And I'm going to let you contemplate that for yourself and see how that wants to come alive within you. But it's a universal law that I live by. And so it helps me navigate this world in a way that I can feel what is happening within my body, and I can become the translator of the outside world from within. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah, this has been kind of a lot, I know. And there's just so much happening, and I definitely find it challenging to put into words, to bring it into kind of a logical mind, because it's so not logical and it's so not linear either. And it's so not personal. It's so hard for us not to take that personal. And Z, who brought that to the forefront on the last call, thank you, because I feel like that was a big code for not only this key, but for life. It's like, it's not personal. We so attached to this personality, and that we have to let go of. It's going to go with the rebirth. It's not that we won't have, again, paradoxical. It's like, well, we'll actually be more individual, more differentiated, more individuated when we come together. It's yes, and we will be individuated, but we'll be as one. You won't be alone in it. You won't have a singular thought or a singular action. It's like everything will be in the collective field together, and yet you will also be individuated. So I'm going to let you play with that on your contemplations and see what comes through there. But thank you all so much just for joining me on this journey, and just for being willing travelers to go into this really expansive unknown space and see what wants to arise for you. This whole year for me, the word is revelation. Words come really strongly as themes. Last year was listen, and this year is really strongly coming through revelation. So I feel like it's going to become more expansive and more clear, and the trajectory is just going to be seen, because so much of the technology of these mothership temples that we call bodies is truly coming online in the most extraordinary ways. So continue to share and continue to come together. I look forward to seeing you next week. We'll do a closing circle where we can just have a discussion about this. You can bring questions and we can talk more about the whole process that each one of us are going through, both in our individual experience, but we're also doing this together. So it's really a magnificent time. And this kind of accelerated period is going to, I feel like, even ramp up even more up until 2027. It's like we're on a ride that's going to become incredibly, incredibly, it's just accelerated. It's just going to go so fast. And it almost feels like you don't even have a moment to catch your breath. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Sending love to you all. And thank you for joining me on this journey. And I'll see you next week and we can have a little closing ceremony. Mwah. Aloha.